go. Keep it coming. Push, 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 push. Push, Max. Let's go. 1, rest.
All right, so I'm giving this a shot for Alex right here, and what we're going to do is do a little case study on training the elite female lacrosse and ice hockey player. The biggest thing we need to understand for us, at least in the U.S., is that we've got some serious logistical issues. There's no women's pro hockey, or there was no women's pro hockey until the early 2020s. In 2023, they formed a league that included our U.S. and Canadian Olympians, which has changed some things. Women's lacrosse has a 1-month summer professional league and recently a women's weekend professional league that's part of the PLL. But the bottom line is that you've got a group of women who are post-collegiate, who are still wanting to play at the Olympic or international level, but who don't have tremendous structure. So the big challenge is keeping your year-round training productive, effective, and engaging. The training calendar is more of, I guess, an Olympic-style track and field approach with international competitions and national camps that are spaced throughout the year. Training can be long blocks followed by a 1 to 2 week competitive period. As again, I mentioned, this has changed with the start of the Women's Professional League, but we're really only in our Professional Ice Hockey League, the PWHL, but we're only in year 2 of that league. One major problem that we deal with is that collegiate players have the advantage of more frequent competitive opportunities. So in some ways, your collegiate player is going to be better prepared for game stress than your older international players. Your older internationals need to jump into international competition with limited specific preparation in certain situations. To back up just a little bit, major problems in training female athletes in general. One, and we'll show you some of this, I think you get a lifetime of low expectations. There's a lot of stuff. Women can't type ideas. Women can't do this. Women can't do that. Women can't do chin-ups. Women can't handle body weight exercises, blah, blah, blah. I think that's a lot of BS, perfectly honestly. I don't think there's any anatomical differences that should alter your training program at all. There are going to be some physiological differences, particularly as they relate to appearance. The other thing is that coaching women is going to be different. I love this quote when it applies to everybody. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. But this applies double to females. Females are going to work much better with you and for you when they know that you actually give a shit. This is a great book, Training Soccer Champions. If you're a soccer fan at all, football maybe for you guys, but in the United States, the guy in this book, Anson Dorrance, I think won something crazy, 20 out of 24 collegiate national championships over the period of time prior to his retirement a couple of years ago. But if you like books on training female athletes, this is probably the best book I've read on that particular topic. So good that I buy copies of the book and keep them around to give to people that are coaching women. One thing to deal with when you're talking about just training women in general, body image issues are real. So we've got to be dealing with the body image issues. We've got to be making our females understand that they're not going to be gaining weight. We've got to be making them understand that they're not going to turn into these super muscular Amazon women. But we also have to be realistic. You are going to have, if you've got mesomorphic females, yes, they are going to develop some muscle mass, but you do have to be conscious of the fact that you're going to have a lot of female athletes who don't want that. I'm going to see if we can get these to play so you can actually hear the audio. This is Kayla Trainer, who is now the head women's lacrosse coach at Syracuse University. But I want to see if we'll get audio or not.
Hi, my name is Kayla Trainer. I'm a member of the U.S. Women's National Team. I've won 2 World Cup gold medals. I am 5'9", 165 pounds, and I am proud of my body.
We recorded these videos to have some effect. So Kayla is, again, if you're a lacrosse fan, she's the Michael Jordan of women's lacrosse, probably the greatest offensive player in the history of the women's game, at least maybe up until someone that you'll see slightly later in the presentation who may be now starting to move slightly past her. But in any case, we filmed a bunch of these videos so that our female athletes would get some sense of what the sizes actually are. I think part of the problem that I realized is that women were lying about their height and their weight.
What's up, everyone? I'm Hillary Knight, and I am a 3-time Olympic medalist, most recently gold medalist, 8-time world champion, and 2-time national champion. And I am 5'11", and anywhere between 172 to 185 pounds. And I'm proud of my body.
And again, Hillary, probably the most decorated U.S. ice hockey player. Again, 5'11" and can be as high as 182 pounds. I need to get my my kilo conversion out for you guys because I know we're dealing in kilograms. So we'll divide that by 2.2, and we will get, she's 82 kilos, just to give you an idea. To make it really simple, keep it simple, stupid. I love the KISS principle. When you're talking about training these people, keep checking your boxes. It's not rocket science. We're going to try to buzz through this because I know Alex had said 20 minutes, and I'm hopefully going to be able to keep it to that. Goal number 1, get healthy, stay healthy. We talk about what we call the first 15. The first 15 minutes of the workout to us are critically important. Foam rolling, stretching, warm up, and we kind of lump mobility, activation, core work, all that stuff inside of that warm up bucket. But we never skip and or neglect that first 15 minutes of the workout. We are religious about this. We're going to come in, we're going to foam roll, we static stretch. I think the anti-static stretching stuff that we hear is bullshit. Personally, we've been static stretching. We stopped static stretching 20 years ago for a while and saw nothing but injuries increase. We went back to static stretching in spite of the fact that people said we shouldn't, and we static stretch to this day prior to every workout. But we do warm up immediately after we static stretch so that if there is some sort of negative effect, we wash it out with the warm up. Here's just some quick video.
What's up, corner? Not much, just rolling out. Push. Roll out. Like Michaela.
So that's old video, but the point is, we're always going to start. Everybody's traveling with a roller if they're traveling. Everybody's got a roller if they're in the gym. We've always got them available. First thing they know, the first thing they're going to do is just start finding those sore spots and working on those sore spots. Static stretch, don't have any static stretching video. Warm up, I like ladders, to be honest. I think ladders get a lot of negative press, but doing footwork, moving in different planes, I don't understand what's wrong with that.
It's more the...
And it's not the only way that we warm up, but it's part of the way that we warm up, and I think that's important. Goal number 2, after we think about get warmed up, get prepared, get fast, stay fast. So we always talk about the idea of jump, throw, sprint. And so we're going to jump, and when we talk jump, we can be talking about hopping, bounding, but we are going to do some plyometric exercise. Every day that we train, we will do some plyometric work. We may be training generally 3 or 4 days with these athletes in the off season. I've started to become a little bit more partial to 3-day workouts, but we do 4 in the summer. If we were to get to the in-season period, we would do 2. Throw. And I'll turn the volume down because there's no more need for you to hear the volume on these. But we are going to throw medicine balls. And basically what we do is we will pair or superset jumps and throws. So we'll do our jumps, we'll go do our throws, we'll go back and forth, jump, throw. From there, just some rotational throws. This is actually, again, a good idea. Find a place to throw. This is our Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, and we want to throw medicine balls. Okay, we went outside. We found a concrete wall outside. We brought the balls out. We got our throws in. And then sprint. This is Alex Carpenter. She's the fastest female athlete we have ever had. This is, again, Kayla Trainer, who you saw already. But Megan Keller, probably the best defender in the world as far as women's ice hockey goes. But the point being, we are running timed sprints twice a week. We don't run a lot of sprints. We probably run in the neighborhood of 3 to 4 fly 10s. We gradually increase the fly. We start with a 5-yard fly in. So we're timing basically to the same 10, but we're running 15 yards. We progress to a 10-yard fly in where we're timing 20 yards, 15-yard fly in. Each phase lasts about 3 weeks, but we are sprinting. We are timing twice a week. And we could get into that more particularly, but I don't want to spend too much time on this. And again, I've resisted sprint. This is a really nice slow-mo of Callie Flanagan. Callie plays in Toronto for the Toronto Scepters. But again, I love resisted horizontal work. I think it's going to make a really big difference in horizontal sports that involve running or skating. Goal number 3, we want to get strong and powerful. We want to stay strong and powerful. I don't think you can be too strong. If you pick the right lifts and you don't make it a powerlifting or an Olympic lifting competition. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that we can get too caught up on too strong and try to make people into powerlifters or try to make people into Olympic lifters. That is not what we are trying to do. We're looking for balanced strength. We're looking for people that can push. We're looking for people that can pull. We're looking for people that can do knee dominant exercise. We're looking for people that can do hip dominant exercise. I don't really care how much you can squat. We don't even squat, to be honest. We don't back squat at all. We do very little bilateral lifting, but we don't back squat at all. I do care how much you can bench press, but I'm not going to obsess about it. But there are other things that are much more important to me. So if we look at, from a power perspective, if you can imagine, this is again Alex Carpenter. I said our strongest, most powerful female athlete that we have, who's nearing 30 years old, I think. I don't know exactly how old Alex is, but she's still arguably our best forward in women's ice hockey in the United States. This is 80 kilos for a pretty easy triple. So when we talk about being powerful, she's pretty powerful. Here's Haley Lunny, who's not, again, was playing in our first version of the Women's Professional League, but again, in about the 70 kilo range. And then this is Meg Keller. Meg, it's interesting because she's almost 6 feet tall, and this is probably just a slightly more than 60 kilos. This is Charlotte North. I said you were going to see some video of probably the future of women's lacrosse. Charlotte is arguably now the greatest player in women's lacrosse. And this is Charlotte again. This is slightly lighter. This is probably getting somewhere up into the range of that 60 kilos. But the point is, we're working on power. We're working on explosiveness. In the same way, we're working on weighted jumps. These are our just jump mats. If you guys, you can see, we've bought some music stands so we can keep the scores off the floor, so people are not stepping on our units. But what we're looking for here is to be in the 70% range of their best vertical jump. So we're trying to insert some, I guess, some effort monitoring here, saying to them, all right, you know what your best vertical jump is. We give them a quick chart. There's actually a chart on the wall that tells them what 70% is of that number, and then we're gradually increasing the loads. This is great. So Kendall Coyne Schofield, actually, she is now in her 30s. I think she's 32 years old. She actually skated in the National Hockey League fastest skater competition and beat some National Hockey League players, some male professional players at the All-Star game. So she's a pretty amazing character. This is 330-pound trap bar deadlift at 125 pounds body weight, 150 kilograms at 56 kilograms. That is probably the only exercise we're really going to be concerned with, I guess, strength and load. It's our big bilateral lift. As I said, we don't squat. That's a story for another day. Again, this is Alex Carpenter. When we talk about balance strength, I want people that can push and can pull. So we put a lot of emphasis on pulling. This is 20 kilos for 7, which is, she's the strongest that we've had, but a lot of our girls will be able to do 20 kilos for a couple of reps. The vast majority will be able to do 10 kilos for 5. We treat chin up as a main lift. We train it as a main lift. I want really balanced upper body pushing, pulling strength. And Alex is also one of our strongest pushers, so she would logically be one of the strongest pullers. This is Katie Burt, one of our goalies, just to give you an idea in terms of strength. And I think these are 65s, actually. Katie's now coaching. She's no longer in our international program, but let's see. She shouldn't have thrown the dumbbells on the ground either. But yeah, 65 for 5. Pretty strong for a female ice hockey player. The last kind of piece of the puzzle, as we're trying to keep this to 20 minutes, injury prevention, reactive strength, unilateral strength, rotational strength. We want to check all of those boxes. Like we said in the beginning, we want to think about continuing to check boxes. This is Sam Apuzzo. Sam, again, one of the best attackers in the United States. Nordic eccentric, we just for the record, not that it matters. We really put a lot of emphasis on trying to be able to hold these hamstring positions initially, starting with isos, progressing to eccentrics. We never do conventional Nordics. We are never trying to come back up again. I think it's just too stressful, in my opinion. And as I said, we'll start with just the isometric portion of these exercises and then gradually progress to eccentrics. Unilaterally, again, to the bottom right, Aaron Frankel, who's our national team goalie right now, probably will be our Olympic goalie, but we love unilateral exercises. We want to be working hard on unilateral strength. Christina Patini, who's now coaching at, I think at Providence College, but I'm not sure. And again, Megan Keller down the end. We want a balance of hip dominant and knee dominant. We're really trying to push that hip dominant strength. This is pretty interesting. So basically most of these girls, these were not girls on our national program. These are actually women on our staff, but we were talking about experimenting with even heavier single leg, what some people would call single leg RDL. I don't like the Romanian deadlift. We're just going to call it a one leg straight leg deadlift. But this is 125 pounds for 5. So slightly under 60 kilos, 55 kilos, I guess. Last thing, just some other things that we're trying to play with. This is Kayla Barnes, who plays in Montreal. Drop catches. We've been looking more at the research as it relates to forces, and one of the things that we're seeing, what people would call fast eccentrics, what we're going to call drop catches, are going to produce higher forces. So we're playing around a little bit with this drop catch idea. And then there's also the idea of trying to deal with the rotational components. This is what we would call a stepping lift pattern. This again is Meg Keller. The only point being here, the bottom line, it's not too complicated. You got to prepare to train. You got to get fast and powerful. You've got to get and stay strong. You've got to condition, which we didn't really touch on, but not too much. Rinse and repeat. So when you start talking about training these international females, it's simply a matter of just, I guess, getting this stuff done.
Go, 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 go. Keep it coming. Push, 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 push. Push, Max. Let's go. 1, rest.